some kind of an internet crapping out moment on me. But, like, I can't get to YouTube right now to get some music going for you guys, but it looks like, yeah, I can't do that. That means, like, basically my web browser is going to be acting up on me, but, other than that, I should be able to cast this with relatively little trouble, and here we are. Game number 2 is going to be between Effort, the upper right-hand corner, and Gypsy Danger. I believe this is Jim in the lower left-hand corner, Invictus Gaming's Jim. If it's anyone who stood a chance of taking a game off of CJEntus, it would most certainly be Jim. But let me go ahead and just alt-tab real quick and check stuff out on Team Liquid. Yep, it's Jim versus Effort. Alt-tabbing again to make sure that my XSplit's okay. This is the only reason why my sound will cut out on occasion. So, go ahead and show this stream to all your friends. Tell them, hey guys, we finally got a stream going for CJEntus versus Invictus Gaming. So Jim, fill in time with him. In this regard, I would like everyone to just take a moment to acknowledge that the Chinese are the foreigners as well. They have to apply for a visa to go to Korea to compete in the GSL if they want to. And this year, as of 2013, there has not been a single Chinese competitor to go to Korea to compete in the GSL, although there was an offline event known as the IEF that 4 Chinese players went to. I didn't go to that one because I didn't have time. I was such a busy student, studying 21 credits in university here, a study abroad program. And it made me so painfully busy. I barely had time to go to one GSTL, guys. It was great, though, the one that I did go to. Hoping I'll get another chance to go to one pretty soon before I leave. And I already told Coach Park that I owe him drinks for letting me cast this. If you guys are listening to me on Twitch, I will get you guys the numbers as soon as I can. But right now, there's apparently some kind of a web browser issue that I have. Like, I don't know what it is, but it happens every now and then whenever I am streaming. So, let's see here. No drop frames. Still cool. Still good. Alright, so what we have coming from our Zerg Effort is apparently a double hatch opener, followed up immediately with a gas and a spawning pool, trying to get that map control out. And Jim's going to be going with a double gas before Nexus build, and he's also got a, excuse me, double gas before Cybernetics core build. This will most likely evolve into some kind of a Zealot Sentry opener, but I now retract that statement because that Zealot was only being built for safety. Of course, in case of 6 pool, and of course, if you cancel the Zealot, you've got more than enough minerals to go ahead and start your natural. Alright, so Cybernetics Core's Warp Gate tech gets started, and I'm thinking we could see some kind of a 4-gate timing coming from Jim. If it's ever anyone who stood a chance of taking a game off of a Korean Code S player, it would definitely be Jim. Jim Sanity, Jim Vincible, Jim Credible. It's Invictus Gaming's Jin Taohui, Jim. Effort. I wish I knew more about. I had all the time in the world to do homework, but instead, homework on the players here. Semester is actually over. I don't have any real homework, but I was far too concerned with actually getting an observer position in game, and that didn't quite work out. Alright, so gateway number 1, excuse me, gateway number 2, and gateway number 3 gonna go down. Yes, it's going to be 3 gateways, and depending on how you mix things up as Protoss, you could probably potentially throw down a Stargate and get away with that as well. But whoa, Jim is actually going to go for a Robo behind this. Interesting choice, not unsafe. He's already got 2 sentries. And I'm trying to think of what we could see coming from Jim. It could be some kind of Warp Prism harass play. It could be just a ton of gateway units that he's going to have to micro intensely to keep alive versus whatever comes out of our Effort's hives. He's now taken more than 100 gas off of that geyser, so that means he has more than just the intention of getting... wait a minute. Okay, let me see here. 60, 70 seconds ago? 70 seconds ago. 5 minutes, 30 seconds. I'm thinking this could be a Leenox style Ling, Baneling, Ultra, Infestor, Queen build. And I use these words very conservatively because it is such a moldable and mixable build. But we also have a Roachworn going down, possibly for safety, and we already see Immortals out on the way for Jim. And Jim hasn't even... Here's the funny thing. Jim hasn't even scouted his opponent yet, and he knows to make this Immortal. It's like... I don't get it. This is something we don't see all that often, but I mean, Jim is one of those players like Stefano, now retired, of course, but he's not retired himself. He's one of those players who can just sit down and think to himself, okay, well, why don't I make this build or make that build, and we can see how effective it works on the ladder. And it's been such a long time since he's had a real offline tournament to test these builds out at. And Jim's just going to wall off, and it looks like... Wait a minute. Oh my god. Why did I not see this sooner? It's a 6-gate Robo all-in. He's gonna get a Warp Prism pretty soon, I'm sure, here to follow this up. And now all of his units here are actually getting surrounded, caught out here in the open by all these Lings, and they're actually getting very good surround. Jim is looking very mushy right now, and 14 Roaches are following up this first wave from Effort. And I was thinking for a minute maybe we were gonna see Jim do pretty well in this matchup, but there's only 2 sentries remaining. He's floating a bit in the way of gas, so that means he's got a lot of room for sentries to enter the battlefield. Pylon's entering forward position, and Effort's going to be able to just micro Effort near effortlessly versus this. I don't know. This is all going to come down to positioning, essentially. Beautiful force fields at the front, but it seems like they're working just a little bit against the Zealots. The Immortals get surrounded and click down, focus down immediately. A huge warp in of Stalkers coming from Jim. And it looks like he's just going to be able to slap some of those Roaches away near effortlessly. That was one full warp in of 5. He's got another gateway back at home. Probably has a free warp in. And it looks like Effort might be able to stabilize just a little bit after this. And now Jim is looking for that position to engage in, and I'm wondering why exactly did he go for the name Gypsy Danger on this Smurf account. I'm gonna have to ask him about that, but I can't ask him in game as I don't have a full StarCraft 2 account. So yeah, life just sucks right now. Meanwhile, back at the third, Warp Prism tried to make some harass happen. Did it work? No, not even a single worker or even Queen killed. And Jim's trying to break back into his own front door. The transition from this is going to be what? Dunno, but the Hydralisk Den is now going down for Effort as well, and this is going to make things so much harder for our Chinese Protoss. And in my case, my little Brotoss. For the time being, Effort backs off, but I mean, with those Hydralisks coming into the mix, it's gonna make a very difficult fight for Jim to really get through. But checking the upgrades right now, 0-0 upgrades versus 0-0 upgrades, I believe Protoss is superior. Oh no, Jim's actually left the front door wide open, and a huge wave of Roaches is just breaking its way in, forcing a recall on that Mothership core. Roach is gonna get a nice surround on this Immortal. With proper micro, 5 Roaches can take down a single Immortal. And it looks like this is going to distract Jim just a teeny bit. He's going to probably lose a few pylons here and there. But if we see our Zerg lose too many Roaches right here, it's going to mean big trouble for him in the end as well. So checking the resources lost so far, it's been 1 for 1. And as a Protoss player, you don't want that. As a Zerg player, that's more than acceptable when you're on 3 base and your opponent is on 2 base, that is. But Effort is actually a little bit behind in the way of mineral income. Once we compare it to... I mean, he's ahead of Jim, no doubt, but at the same time, he's not got full saturation on his third. Rock's going to go down there. That's going to catch, a few gateway units out of position, but the force fields here are more than making up for that. Microing down the Immortals doesn't quite work out when... there's only a handful of Roaches there to deal with them. 4 Immortals now in the mix altogether. A handful of speedy Roaches coming back around here to what was expected to be the 4th base. These Hydras, they look really scary in number. Effort's been hiding them this entire time. That's what's going to make this so difficult for Jim to deal with. He's going to see so many of them at once, and he has no AoE right now. He doesn't know what his opponent is throwing at him presently. Does he? No, he doesn't. He didn't even scout the Hydralisk Den. This is not good. The concave is far too superior for our Zerg, now being negated by these force fields. But I mean, the more and more we see these... Wow, wait a minute. What are the Immortals dancing here for? Forget it! More and more Stalkers warping in on the high ground. Effort's numbers are plummeting, while we still have Jim's kind of plummeting as well. There's a lot of Immortals here doing a lot of damage to the Roaches. 2 of them have fallen, and it looks like the Micro of Jim may not be enough to hold against all of this. Demoralizing defeat in game number 2 for Jim. There it is, the GG. Ladies and gentlemen, game number 2 goes to Effort. And who could blame him? I mean, this was basically, statistically speaking, his best match.